Hello, I'm Marielle Gauthier, a certified executive personal coach. Welcome to the Power Up Your Retirement Lifestyle program, and welcome to our estate planning series. In this three-part series, we're going to cover the last will and testament, power of attorney, and the healthcare directive. In today's program, we're going to focus on the power of attorney. The power of attorney is a very important document for you to consider as part of your estate planning. Today, our guest is going to get into the nitty-gritty of what is a power of attorney. Elizabeth Williamson is a lawyer in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. She has a general practice focusing on wills, estates, residential real estate, small business, and governance. Elizabeth enjoys helping her clients plan for their succession. She believes a valuable gift that we can all leave is an organized estate. Welcome, Elizabeth. So let's jump right in. What is a power of attorney, and does everyone need one?
A power of attorney is a document that you sign giving someone else the ability to make decisions on your behalf. Everyone doesn't need one, but it is recommended that every adult have one. When you have to have capacity to be able to make a power of attorney or revoke a power of attorney. And if you have had a stroke, or if there was an accident, or somehow have had some sort of brain damage and are unable to make a power of attorney, that's when you need it the most. So, and at that point you can't make one. So it is handy and recommended that you have one.
Okay. So then, if I have a will, and if something happens to me, and I can't make my own decisions, that's going to be impacted.
So if you have a will, that's great, but a will only kicks in once a person passes away. It has nothing to do, and it doesn't step in at all while someone is alive. So that's why you need a power of attorney, for someone to be able to make decisions while you're still alive, even though you're incapable of making them yourself.
So two very different things.
Yes.
Okay. Now, can you name more than one person to be your attorney?
Yes, you can. In Saskatchewan, we have two different types of attorneys. We have a power of attorney over property, and we have a power of attorney over personal matters. So you can name one person to be your power of attorney for everything, or you can name separate people. You can name more than one person to be your property attorney, or you could name more than one person to be your personal attorney. There's lots of different variations that you can do.
Okay. Should they be joint or only?
Right. So when you name more than one person, you can name them to act jointly, which means that every document that's signed would need both signatures. Every decision that's made would need to be made by both of them. You can also name them successively. So that means that the first person named is the one that acts, and if they are become unable to do it or pass away, then it goes to the next person. Or you can name them severally, and that means that if you name two, either of them can make the decision for you.
Okay. So can I sign a power of attorney now but make it effective later?
Yes, you can. Yes, so there's a couple of different ways of doing that. You can make your power of attorney contingent on an event, such as you losing your mental capacity as shown by written statement by two medical professionals, or it could be effective as of a certain date, or you can, some lawyers, what they do is they keep your power of attorney and there's a letter on it, and they have a letter with the client saying they won't release the power of attorney until the client does what's required under the letter. So it might be until the client asks for it, or it might be until a specific person asks for it, or whatever is agreed in the letter. So there's a few different ways of doing it.
Okay. So if you don't have a power of attorney, something happens, you cannot make decisions for yourself. What happens?
Right. So in that situation, someone has to go to court and have a legal guardian named for you. So it's a longer process. It involves lawyers and legal fees, and it's just far simpler and more straightforward to have a power of attorney.
So even if you have a spouse or a common law partner, they would still have to go to the courts?
Yes, if you need anything signed by the person who's doesn't have the capacity. So, for example, if I own my house with my husband and he is injured and is unable to make decisions, I can't sell my house unless he also signs the transfer or his power of attorney signs the transfer. If he doesn't have a power of attorney, I would need to have someone named as his legal guardian to be able to sign that document for me.
Okay. So a little bit of some security aspect of it, right?
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So legally, you don't want someone to be able to sign and get rid of your assets without your own permission, or be able to access your bank accounts. So this is definitely a security matter, and that's why you need a formally executed power of attorney before a bank or the land titles office or whomever sees it as the proper authority to be able to give the other person your assets.
Okay. So you've touched a little bit of what we cannot do, but can you give a little bit more information about what are the rules around what an attorney can and cannot do?
Okay. A power of attorney is required to act in the best interest of the person who's given the authority to the person to act as their attorney. So if it's a property attorney, they have the ability to make any decisions around financial matters. And so they can access any of your bank accounts or any of your finances and make any type of decision like that. The third party, the bank or the investment company, may ask to have a notarial copy of the power of attorney or some form of the power of attorney. But if you have an officially signed power of attorney, then the attorney can do that. What the attorney cannot do is they cannot write or amend your will, and they cannot change a beneficiary that you've designated under your life insurance or your RSP or your pension, that type of thing. And they cannot make healthcare decisions for you. Or, for example, consent to something such as medical assistance in dying. So an attorney cannot do that. A personal attorney has the ability to make decisions around your accommodation, where you might live, your training or education, or any social activities. Again, they are not the one that makes the healthcare decisions.
Okay.
That's governed by a different act in Saskatchewan. And that goes to the next of kin, usually the spouse, and you can make a different type of document to address that called a healthcare directive.
Oh yes. So what kind of advice or what are some of the things we need to think about as we're choosing our power of attorney?
Right. You want to choose someone who is very capable and very trustworthy, because you are giving the person access to all of your assets. And if you choose someone who is not forthright and honest, you may be susceptible to their theft or fraud. So you want to pick someone who is very honest and trustworthy. You also want to pick someone who is organized and keeps a proper accounting, so that if anyone else wants to find out if they've been managing properly, they'll have it all available, and because the power of attorney is required to provide an accounting if it's asked of them. And it does help if the attorney lives in the same city as the person who's granting it. It's not mandatory, but it makes it just easier. Those are the most important aspects of an attorney. They have to be an adult, so they have to be over 18. If it's someone it can't be someone who's bankrupt. If it's someone who has a criminal record, you need a special provision in the power of attorney, to be able to give it to them. And you also can't give a power of attorney to someone who works for an institution that is being paid to look after you. So, like a old folks home or a respite home or something like that. If they work there, you can't give them your power of attorney.
Okay. So what's the process? How do you name somebody? Is it something you have to consult a lawyer? Or?
It's a relatively simple process. I do recommend that you consult a lawyer because each province is a little bit different, and you want your document to be able to be used because, as I said, when you need it the most, you would not be able to change it, and so you want it done properly. So I would recommend a lawyer. It has to be witnessed, and if a lawyer is witnessing it, you only need the lawyer to witness. Otherwise, you need 2 witnesses.
Okay. So just one final question. When? Is there a right time of your life or age that you get one? Or what do we need to think about the when?
So I see it as a risk management tool, and I recommend anyone who's an adult to have one. But truthfully, I see it more often as a person ages, and the likelihood of them having a stroke or some sort of incapacitating illness becomes higher and higher. Those are the people who really should have a power of attorney done. If they don't have one done, you should really encourage them to have one done. Or anyone who is suffering currently from an illness that is making it difficult for them to do their banking or make their decisions, you should also encourage someone like that, or if that's yourself, you should get a power of attorney.
Okay. Any other final words?
I think you've asked most of the questions that someone might be curious about, so I don't have anything further.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Elizabeth, for sharing your thoughts. Certainly a lot of food for thought, and so important for all of the reasons that you've mentioned. So I would love to hear from all of you who have watched this video. Tell me a little bit about what did you like about what you heard? What stood out for you? How will this information help you prepare for your own retirement? And what are you going to start doing now? So please leave me your comments on these questions in our community group page. And in closing, keep on thinking about what you want and how you want to live the second half of your life. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. I'm Marielle Gauthier with Redworks Coaching. Have fun creating your extraordinary life.